Hey, what's up guys? New tutorial here. This is going to be on the semifinal round. So here you can see Golf Madness semifinals. Now, one of the things I just wanted to briefly touch on here, the guide for Ultimate Golf we will be using here. This is free for Android and iOS users in the store. Once you have it, if you are on Samsung devices, one of the things that you're able to do is you can open in pop-up menu, and we'll be able to pop it open in the screen. I like to expand it a little bit, kind of have it like this, and then we can use this and the win calculator for our ring calculations. So let's jump in here. We'll go back to Ultimate Golf. Like I mentioned, Golf Madness tournament here, semifinals. So hopefully you guys are working on building your account up, getting it through. These are these multi-round tournaments. So anything that's labeled as multi-rounds, you're in it for the long haul. Let's take a look at the rewards just so you guys can see them. So even in rookie, some pretty desirable rewards, even down as far as, anything realistically top 50. Pretty good rewards here. The top 50. So this is what you want to work on building and being able to get through the semis into the tournament round, into the finale, so you can have a chance to win those balls. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to put together some shots for you guys so you guys understand the strategy. Keep in mind that you guys are going to have the exact same tournament wins. And if it's not going well for your round, just go ahead, go to the restart button, restart for free. You got 5 attempts. You can even play all 9 holes or 18 holes, and then you could come back and you could go another round to try to make improvements. So here you'll see 11 straight down wind. We're just going to try to blast this ball down as far as we can. And of course you can see that I just have a basic ball on for this since it's straight tailwind. We're going to try to get aggressive. You can see that I great balled off to the right. There's a lot of sloping fairway here, so I like to utilize a lot of that right slope. A little bit early on my timing, as you can see, not going to cost me. So let's pull out this Hypnotics. The goal here is to get pretty aggressive on things. I'm going to turn my grid back on. We're going to make this a lot less busy here for you guys. I want to keep things simple for you guys so you can really see what I'm doing smoothly. However, feel free to draw whatever, lines that you're able to in the mesh tool. There is videos showing you how to set up a lot of these grids. So if you do like a basic search for meshes, similarly, you could go to the guides and you could scroll down the recent guides, and there's also some tutorials in there for meshes and whatnot as well. So let's come back in here and just get our round underway. We're going to be using this grid, like I said, just to kind of give you guys a little bit better, clear picture for alignment. So one of the things that I like to do, and one of the things that I might do is something like this. This is kind of a perfect example of being able to talk to you guys about this. I have one of these for Hive. So here is what Hive looks like, the max span. You can see this is a little bit more condensed. So a really fast way for you guys to do this would be use the copy feature. As soon as I hit the copy, it comes down to the bottom. I could go edit. We could go hip 5, for example, scaled, and then we can go in and edit this. All we're going to do is we're just going to shorten it down. So somewhere around here looks pretty good. So that's how fast we made that grid. And then, we'll be able to utilize that now. So as soon as I hit save on that, we can cancel the Hive, and we're in business just like that. So easy. Very easy for you guys. And you can see this is going to be, I needed to do all 3 though. Or all 2, whatever it is. So as you can see, let me just go and make that slight mod real quick. The segmented line, the tenths. Tenths is good. And we'll go to this one. We just need to match it up, basically. I think I pulled down one on accident. Let's just take a look at what that looks like. That's good enough for me. So let's get back to it. Like I mentioned, since this is max span at zoomed out, it's a good way for you to just say, oh, okay, so we'll use, you know, maybe 80% here. This is about an 80% club, and maybe pulling down just a little bit more. But gives you a good starting place. And with this much of a tailwind, I am going to utilize a decent amount of this backspin and try to come in here. I'd imagine this is going to stretch out this ball guide just slightly. And we'll try to do something to the effect of that. And then we'll go 10-6. Like we mentioned, we're going to be pretty close to that 80% mark. Almost right on 6 rings. Of course, if you are on the subscription version, there is another thing that you can use and turn on. Wind HUD. So this keeps it right at the top. So you can see it right at the top now. So we'll be able to use that. And it'll make for easier not having to flip back and forth. Similarly, if you were using separate app, it would make it to where, you know, you could toggle between the apps very quickly. And here you can see we get our ultimate shot. Now the big question is, how were we with the ball guide? As you can see, we kept it a little too aggressive. However, second bounce, it landed on the hole. So already just like that, basic ball eagle. Now, granted, it wasn't the greatest play by me. I should have kept the ball guide a little bit shorter. I would recommend you guys doing the same. But keep in mind, you're going to have that exact same wind angle. So you can just make micro adjustments different than my shot. So that's what you should use that as. Use that as your guideline to be able to play hole 1. And then once you understand this is how much the wind breaks, you know, this is how much the ball reacts at 80% club, you guys can try to get out to those same similar distances and just try to rehearse. And even if you have to restart, not a big deal. Now, let me just go back here real quick and we'll just toggle this one off. You can see, you know, we effortlessly were able to put that together. Ooh, Bigfoot here. So not the easiest pin placement. Got to be a little bit careful with that backspin. This Bigfoot, it's missing some guide, but it's not missing too much. We're going to try to land somewhere up in here, kind of like 1 ring into power. So if we go Bigfoot, 10-7, 1 ring into power, what we're going to do is this adjustment, and you can see at the max line, 6-4-6, it's saying. So we're going to go our 6-4-6. Then we're going to push straight up after we go the 6-4-6. What that's going to do is it's going to allow us to hit into overpower. So very easy adjustment for you guys. Maybe just a little bit more than a ring. Now, I don't know if I'm going to need curl here. I'm not 100% sure. Let's just first, we try to get it onto the green. As you can see, it looked actually pretty good. Pretty good alignment. You can see it was rolling out nice. Very good chance for you guys to utilize that and try to get just a little bit more aggressive. You could just change the spin up on what I did just slightly. Try to make just a little bit modification to my shot. And you guys should be able to replicate that shot very easy. Give yourself a really nice opportunity to be able to get through and, you know, potentially get even a second drop there early on. 2 really easy ones to start. Now, yesterday we made the mistake of not getting aggressive enough on this tee. And that's kind of where I said, you know, we're playing for Mojaves, so why don't we, you know, from time to time to try to give ourselves a little bit better tiebreaker. Maybe on some of these par 5s, we'll get a little aggressive and we'll use the Mojave ball. And what you can see that I'm doing here is I'm favoring the left-hand side. Why are we favoring the left-hand side? To kind of open up this shot here. So we're trying to open this up so we have a little bit straighter view. Now, ideally, we'd like to bring out that IM root here. However, you can see we're still kind of a little bit out of range to do that. So we're going to have to stick with this Viking. Now, this slope, it doesn't like to roll out a lot on this hole. So the first thing that I'll mention is, don't do too much with your ball guide here in terms of restricting it down. It's not really going to roll out a lot on this shot. I just know that from experience. So one of the things we can do is switch up to this is a 7% ball. And then we'll do an 8 wind. It's saying 4 rings. But you can also see that this ball guide, it's pointed to the left. We're going to try to get this some right momentum and curl it around. So if we're going to go 4 rings on the spot adjustment, we'll just do that and maybe keep it just a little bit left so it comes in just a little bit hotter. And then we're going to utilize this curl that we mentioned. Now, it does say great shot, but unless I'm early on that timing, we should be good. It looks like we are still good. You really want to creep that up onto that green. That's why I was mentioning it just doesn't roll out much on this hill. So I even need a top spin there. So what you guys will want to try to do is you'll want to try to make a correction from what I did, because you want those tiebreakers. This many more inches onto the green, it becomes like 1,500 tiebreaker, and we're only going to have 999. So for only 1 or 2 yards more, you get a lot of reward. We're going to keep this ball guide a little bit tight. Just try to slam the pin with our full backspin. So do make sure if you're going to do a shot like this that you are utilizing a lot of spin. Otherwise, you could potentially slam that pin and bounce off of it. So do be careful with stuff like that. Like I said, you want to avoid those 999s in those scenario. We had an easy 1,1600 that we could have picked up just simply by getting another 2 yards. So make sure that you guys are learning from that. Now, this is a good opportunity. Maybe use another ball, because the reason being, this is a very makeable shot. So anytime we have makeable shots, maybe we get a little bit more aggressive. So what is this going to entail here? We should be able to go lightning rod and land. Oh, it's just a little short. Man. Bummer. If you guys have a more advanced lightning rod than I think you only need a 2 or a 3. You can try to land right here. You don't need a lot of backspin. So even 2 bars, if you land right here on this front, 2 bars is too much. You'll see that this ball guide shortens up real fast. If I could land it here, I could pretty much hold this shot. Now we're going to have to go away from this method. So what I'll typically do when we kind of get in between clubs like this, go back to basic ball to get the wind higher. So we want to purposely get the wind up. We're going to go back to the root, the IM root, because it has a lot of spin. So let's go back to our bag. We'll go to our roots, and we'll switch back to Bigfoot to give it range. So you'll see that you have a little bit more range when you do a shot like this. And keep in mind, here's what you want to do on shots like this. So first we're going to utilize full backspin. Then we're going to notice we want to land about a half yard in front of the pin, which is what? Right around here. Shoot. Since this is min club right here, and we can't go any lower than it, we know we want to land right here. So since we want to land right here, this is a ring and a half. So we're just going to mentally factor in a ring and a half. So what we're going to do is we're going to go 10 rings, 10 miles per hour, sorry. It's saying towards max 666. Probably stay pretty close to that. Maybe come in on it a little. You can see min is 6.2, but we're pushing up to higher ground. Anytime you push up to higher ground, you have to kind of take that elevation into account. So first things first, we want to use our overpower and just say, okay, this is about 6.5 rings. We're going to come in just a tad on 6.5, somewhere like here. And then keep in mind that it must have bounced back at least a ring and a half. So with that being said, you want to straighten up this arrow. You can see this is going to land right around here, 6.2 rings, right in front of the hole. This is kind of exactly the way we wanted to play it. So you got to make sure that you're kind of being shorter about a ring and a half. And since the adjustment at that mile per hour was into overpower. We need to not go into overpower. So you can see I was able to give that a very good run, even with basic ball, even without being able to set the target up at these exact spots. We're able to get a really good estimation. And hopefully, you know, you guys could even get aggressive there and just try to get that drop. You can see it's very straightforward. You guys can have the same fixed wind. So just try to make corrections on my shots, and you should be good to go. Next, hole 5, Band of Springs. Just gonna, you know, use our basic ball again. We don't really get any advantage to getting aggressive here. You know, we're gonna be kind of wood to long iron range. For the early going, especially since we've already made a drop, you know, maybe we just do a little bit less aggressive and just try to, you know, play pretty solid and just kind of shoot for the weekend. Then we can use our balls for our last round. Don't have to worry about it today. We'll do it tomorrow. So this is going to be another similar shot to what we just had. So first I want to talk about, okay, so our min is 374. We're going to be close to min again. It's the same type of shot. So 674, but let's look at how much the ball guide rolls. How many rings are we talking? Maybe 2? 2 rings past the ball guide. So that means we got to land about 2 rings in front of the hole, kind of like right here. So if that's the case, assume that the spot that we're at is 5 rings from where we need to be. So we still need to go 2 rings from this spot. So in terms of depth, this is where we need to be. Now the only problem is this isn't going to be very great alignment unless we can try to size this up and just say, okay, we're going to land over here. And the ball, since the wind is over here, it's going to land about 7 rings short. So somewhere around here. This looks like maybe just to the left of the hole. You see what I'm doing with my grid? So I'm just going straight up about 7 rings short, which is kind of this spot. It's kind of real close to this shadow. You know, if I can get zoomed in, it's about right here, almost where the pin is. This might be just a little bit too much to the left, I'm thinking. So we're just going to kind of analyze this spot and just kind of make some modifications because we know that it's going to land about 7 rings short. And maybe this is a little bit better alignment. So since we're just kind of estimating, eyeballing it, but what we're doing, we want it to land a little bit to the left, just not quite that much. So that's what we were doing, is we were adjusting it. Now, one thing I did know is it rolls out to the right on that one. So that pin location specifically, it rolls out to the right. So I was trying to still land it to the left, but as you can see, it's just a little bit more to the left. So you need to just scoot that over. You need to just visualize and say, okay, I know this is going to land about 6.75 to 7 rings down. And we just got to visualize that spot where it's going to be on the green and make the adjustment. Since we can't pull the target to it directly, we need to just kind of think about it. And that's where the crosshair can really come in and just help create that visual picture for you. Now this is definitely going to be a hole that we can try to get aggressive, hopefully even get the pitch. So we should be able to come at this with a Hypnotics. So let's back out here real quick. Get my purchase back. Come back into the calculator. We'll go Hypnotics. And maybe we'll just turn this hip green on. We won't need to at max. So we're going to be at max club, so you don't have to worry about that. In the event that you try to get it up a little bit closer, I highly recommend using the scale like that. And since we're going to be using top spin, we're going to need some kind of overplay on this. Even though we're using a 0% ball, we need to factor in some overplay. So this isn't going to be enough. I would recommend, at least 8 1/4 rings. And this is all just kind of eyeballing. It's really based on how much topspin you need to know. Keep in mind, you know, so an extra ring or so is what I would recommend. Probably full on your top. I even believe this is so in between clubs, we're going to have to go like full overpower. That's what I'm worried about. Like I mentioned, this is going to be probably about 8.5 rings at least. And like I said, I do believe that's about 8.5 rings. Maybe go just a hair bit more since we're going overpower. And like I said, I probably recommend about full because I don't think it's going to roll out nearly as much as you think. Anytime you get towards max, and you can see even this is a little bit light, and I didn't quite factor in enough of that tail effect. You can see after it lands very left. And with all that overpower, just not quite enough on the adjustment. I'd say at least, 9 rings in that scenario, minimum. So it just gives you an idea, but that's where you want to just try to get your tee shot up just a tiny bit farther, make that a little bit easier for you. Now what I typically try to do on this one is I try to land on this downslope. Of course, we talked about this last time. I wasn't quite able to get to that spot that I like. I think today we can. That's more or less going to be the goal, is to kind of land like this. With some left spin, get it over into this opening. I think we can get there today. And one of the things that you guys could do if you wanted is you could pull out another special ball, try to break out just a little bit more power, and you'd be able to definitely hit that spot. But I'm not going to do that. I'm going to try to conserve. We're just going to, especially since this is the first playthrough, we're just going to try to pull it off and make adjustments. Let's say this didn't work out, which it looks like it's going to anyway. You can see it's really taking a lot of topspin off that hill. Now, you can get even more than that. So you can get it to roll out even more. That was kind of an average amount, but it's going to be enough. So I got enough of that hill that we're good. You can come back to this Viking. You can go power 7. So the double tap feature there is the easiest way to switch to the Viking. And then we have the club set up. We're going to go 8-2, 4 rings. And keep in mind, same thing. The 4 rings is only good for max backspin. We're nowhere near max backspin. We're going top spin. So 4 rings isn't going to be enough. It's the same type of thing to where you'll want to use this elevation slider, maybe 4.6. I'm thinking 10-15%, a very substantial overplay because you have to consider all the wind effect. So 4.6 is about where I'm going to pull. Maybe if we're right at the max line, maybe even just a little bit more than that, 4.7 even. So ultimate shot, and let's just see how it rolls out. You can use this as a reference point. Here you can see it's rolling out pretty good. It should take some left break as well. So we just kept it just a little bit short. You can get just a little bit more aggressive with your ball guide, but you can also see I didn't quite factor in enough hill here in terms of right to left break. So make sure that you're factoring that in, especially if you have a similar shot. And you can see, even at max club, the ball guide doesn't really roll out too aggressively for that hole. So you don't have to worry about getting too aggressive. Now, do keep that in mind that, you don't want to, you really want to size up how short I was in the fairway because you don't want to overdo what I just did. That was plenty. All right, tell you what's up, you guys. Here we are, hole 8. You see a little bit in between clubs here on basic ball. A little bit of a headwind. What I'm going to do is I'm going to just try to go at this with Bigfoot, I guess. The min club. Just get back in here. Sorry, my subscription does this. I kind of have like a very weird subscription because I have to be in both phases at once. So it works just a little goofy for me at times. But we're very close to this min line. So min says 5.64. We're going to use real close to that 5.64. So at 5.64 here. Also keep in mind the ball guide, it's about what, 2 rings through the hole at least. So we need to pull down at least 2 rings or short hit minimum. So if we go 5, 6, 4, let's just call it somewhere right around there. Like we said, if we can't pull back, I'd say at least 2 rings, we need to underpower. And I've already pulled back just a touch, maybe 0.2 of a ring or something. The goal is to pull back even farther. So let's go here. We are going to do a slight underhit. So very minimal underhit. Here you can see it's coming in very nice. Oh, so we hit the pin, but we still needed to pull back even more. You can see our alignment's very good. So it gives you a nice reference starting point. You know, and hopefully you guys could do a similar strategy, or if you have different clubs. One of the things I could have done, which I was a little bit lazy, I could have switched Spectra out. It's definitely what I should have done. So let me just give you guys this tip real quick. If I was to take Spectra out, switch this up, it's going to change my min club value. I would have been able to get to that Bigfoot and extend the range of Bigfoot by switching to Orion. That's probably your best bet, and something that I should have done but didn't. So here you can see, large tailwind, we're going to keep the wind high by going basic ball. Normally I might go, power ball, but if they're going to give us a straight tailwind, this is like a free pass to just not use a ball. Because realistically, what you do is when you use a power ball, you restrict that wind down. And since it's a smaller wind, it's not going to go as far. So sometimes basic ball can beat Mojave. And this is a perfect example of just, a time to use a free ball. So we're not going to get too carried away with the top spin. I might want to utilize just a little bit. A lot of slope in this green. So what we're going to do is we're going to set the ball guide up, and you can kind of see with what we're looking at. I just kind of show you the way this is working. We might even want to get a little bit higher up on that slope. So something like that, 10.7. 5 rings or so. Keep in mind, this is going to land a little bit short, so we can't even quite go 5 rings. I think we're going to be okay, because I don't think this is going to roll out too aggressively. Especially at min club, it's going to kind of shorten the amount of rings it goes. So it is going to almost play a little bit more towards min, because it is a min adjustment. So with that being said, we're not going to really do a tweak here. Just going to kind of let this come in. And you can see we played that slope really beautifully. Potential to get that drop. You guys can very easily dial that. You can see a very easy eagle we had, even a potential albatross. If we can just kind of get that alignment. But keep in mind, we kind of max and min there. When you push toward that min line, it's a very similar adjustment. So even though we started at max, we ended up at min. So we use that min as the starting point. And as a result, you can see, it really didn't roll out differently either way. So here you can see we are close to min club. So with that being the case, one of the things that I'd recommend is maybe using a backspin club. Your best backspin club is going to be the Fusion. So one of the things I can do, I can switch this out for a Fusion. 10-9, close to min club. 5.5 rings, guys. Full backspin. So one of the things that I'll do is I'll try to play this ball guide. Keep in mind, there's a lot of missing ball guide right now on this young club. So we're going to set up similar to maybe this. I'd imagine it still maybe even rolls out a little bit more. 5.5 rings. I'm worried about going into min. That's the only reason I'm not pulling down farther, because I'm assuming we're going to have to maybe underpower this. You can already see it happening. So we're going to go right around here and maybe just a touch of underpower. Since we pulled off to a lower ground, oh no, this is actually kind of higher ground. We are definitely, like I mentioned, going to underpower this. So you can see just kind of towards the bottom here, just a little bit into this yellow. We got the ultimate shot, and let's just see how this works out. maybe just a hair to the right, and you can see we're not able to stop it. Not quite enough backspin, but we got it in a very nice position. Easy birdie still. Now, if you guys could just take off a little bit more backspin or a little bit more underpower, I wanted to make sure that I was safe. And then the other thing that you might want to do is you just might want to over adjust slightly as well. So we're going to play this like this, kind of right edge. Of course, we got to get our ultimate. So if you're not good with ultimate, definitely practice up that ultimate shot. Anytime you go basic ball, you have to hit that ultimate. It will give you no tolerance window. Whereas if you use things like Mojave, you get off the green kind of in a tough spot, you'll be able to have extra precision with the ball that you select, which will open up that window to make it that much easier. But that's a potential, if you do go basic ball like I just did, potential to lose that, stroke if you don't hit your ultimate. There's no way that's going in. So definitely keep that in mind. It's very, very touchy. We're going to play this one for you guys. Actually, one of the things I was going to do, I was going to split these up into 2 videos so it doesn't get too aggressively long. So let me just shut this down real quick, and I will see you guys on the next one. So we'll break this up, like I mentioned, part 1, part 2. Be sure to check out the second part, and we'll just, finish up this round for you guys. Feel free to subscribe and like this video if you haven't already, and be on the lookout for that part 2. So best of luck, guys, and I'll see you guys on the next one.